Are we talking about the regular meeting minutes of October 19th? Where are we at?
No, this is
About the
this is
planning
the
and zoning update committee
the update
meeting
committee
I've got so many
12.
papers, I don't know where I am.
from the 16th of November, our
Okay.
update committee, which would have been.
Delicious.
Thank you.
It's very good.
Thank you.
Oh, I need to get these here.
Mitch, you want some?
Come on, Mitch.
Come on, Mitchell.
Very
good.
Homemade banana nut bread, you're not gonna get it anyplace
Ate my
else.
lemon for a day. Diabetic now, so.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So if everybody's had a chance to look at them and is comfortable with them,
Yes.
well, I'll entertain them.
Yep.
Yes.
I will send a motion to approve them.
I second.
that. Whoever seconded it. Okay, now we're going to look at the public input meeting summary.
What, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed?
Nope. Here we go.
Okay, I'm sorry. Public input meetings, I mean, the summary, you know, we can accept it or discuss it or, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't really take minutes for the meeting, I just
Mhm.
kind of.
I think it went well.
well, did you note down the people's suggestions or concerns?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, and I mean, I've got all
Hopefully
the
you did
notes.
Lori's.
I did. I've got all the notes, like all the material that we had, the sign-in sheets, all that. I think maybe in the summary I put like how many people we had, where they were from, all that. A little bit of the summary is just kind of validate what we did, because that's part of, you need to show that you've done public input gathering. So
Okay.
I wish it could have been better, but we did.
Yeah,
So-
now my particular thought though, and we don't have really much into that, I think what happened was though that the pretty things
Mhm.
took over the meeting and we didn't get down to the infrastructure.
Right.
I was really concerned about that because the
This
look
is
at
the
pretty.
public meeting?
Yes, the look at pretty stuff is all wonderful and we want our little town to look good. We
Right.
really do. We don't want trash all over the place.
Right.
We want it to look nice. But we didn't really hit where our problems with our water systems, our sewer systems. So where do we need road work? What are we planning for the future? You know, we still have trucks running up and down Maple Street. We all know it's a huge problem. We all know railroad is a huge problem for the buses to pass.
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed that we did not get into more of the infrastructure.
I think the problem you're gonna have with railroad is that there's really no way to widen that road.
Right.
Well, there is, but it would take a lot to do it.
Yeah.
Railroad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
I mean, it would take a lot to do it.
I know we have discussed the infrastructure, and we will continue to do so.
Right.
It didn't come up in the meeting.
Right.
It could have. And really, I think the struggle is gonna be getting the people who have the most information about all that in the room. That's the difficulty, you know, and like,
And you'll be encroaching on,
Meaning who?
well, anybody involved with the water, wastewater, transportation cabinet, you know, the Delta Gas, I mean, you know, trying to get all those people in the room to sit down and talk about, okay, here's where we're at. Actually, you tell us where we're at. And
That's it. We don't
How
know
can
where
we
we
grow?
are.
Right.
We don't know what our base points are.
Right.
The only time we know that there's a problem is when a pipe breaks or freezes or whatever.
Right.
We don't have any way to identify where our problem areas are, and that concerns
We
me.
definitely need
the problem with
a,
railroad is anyone on the south side is gonna have, it's gonna affect them quite a bit, those houses that set down below.
Well,
And that'll be a real-
there's a lot of open land in some of those areas.
Right, but there's about 4 or 5 houses when you pass the street that the elementary school's on, I'm not sure the name of that street.
Breckenridge.
Huh?
Breckenridge.
Yeah, so on the right-hand side, there's houses that set down below and they would be severely affected by widening the road.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to be addressed though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
You go to the
really,
left side, there's,
that's a dangerous
Maybe
situation.
if you identify
the problem and look at, maybe there's maybe there's a different way to handle a problem. Maybe it's not widening the road, maybe it's rerouting the road.
Well, and what I had mentioned before is building a truck highway, a truck route that gets the big trucks off that road.
Off
Yeah,
of Maple Street.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that would be a
With Glen
solution.
down the road there's a lot of trucks rolling there.
The other thing too is, okay, so that big open area between Railroad and Maple Street, the Hearns own it, that big farm.
Mhm.
At some point in the future, that'll be a subdivision.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it will.
Mhm.
Whatever their plans are, and I don't know, 50, 100 years, or 5 years, who knows?
Mhm.
But really what we could look at that point is better street connectivity through there over to
Right.
Breckenridge, and to then take traffic off of Railroad. I mean, really, you could look at maybe making Railroad not a through street, like where the
Yeah.
bridge is, just break it,
Exactly.
and
Split it for the school.
right, and it'd be
Yes.
two,
Yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
then have a different road, maybe if you go a little farther up Hall's Road, and then have a road that would go all the way through to Breckenridge.
Yeah.
Through the school property and everything, and have that be the new connection, and have it built wider and
It
better.
just seems when they built these roads, they didn't think about the road.
No, they didn't.
Well, and if you think about Railroad Street, they just took an opportunity, the railroad's gone, we're gonna put
A road there.
And they
And the
did.
ballast, perfect road.
And they, you know,
There it
they
is.
didn't look at it and say, well, it really needs to be about 5 feet wider. They didn't do
Exactly.
that.
Well,
Yeah,
well-
well, because they didn't think about growth, they didn't think about, hey,
Right.
you know, in years to come,
And I mean, when that happened, it was a farm on either side, you know, so I mean, it wasn't really,
Well, it's just like Maple, though. Maple was originally Clay Road.
right.
And
What?
Clay
Clay
Road was
Oh,
what
Clay
Maple,
Road, okay.
was what Maple originally was. And that was basically wagons.
Mhm.
I mean, it's been there a long, long
Right.
time.
Well, it was one of the main roads to Clay City.
Exactly.
Before the Parkway, and before
Exactly.
Turkey Knob.
Is Maple Street in the city limits?
Yes.
Where does it leave the city limits? When it gets on the other,
The other side of Pearl Street, right, just past Pearl Street.
okay.
Okay, I don't want to lose too much time. We
Okay,
can
yeah,
we'll
but-
circle back to this.
We will. That's fine.
Does anybody want to take action on the summary of the 28th meeting? Or are we okay with just discussing?
you know, discussing it.
We can, I mean, okay. And then, okay, so let me dole out what I have, and then I sent you guys this item.
Yeah.
So I was gonna show you in person what it looked like. I was going through, and this all goes back to the Pay Lake stuff.
Like
I
a
was-
rummage sale.
I was trying to find some stuff, and I came across this, and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And then I see this, I'm like, what?
Yeah,
And then the
1976.
bigger surprise was this. That's the text of the comprehensive plan.
Mhm.
Wow.
On the back of the map. So I've taken this, put it in a Word document with the diagrams and everything, and I've scanned it. Carmen, the PDA now has a scanner, so I'm able to scan large stuff. So today I went and scanned this. Just 'cause I thought it's just too cool. But as I read through it, there's really good stuff in it. Like really, really good stuff in it that I think we can take and use.
And used, good.
It's sad, isn't it?
And I don't think it's taken a step, I really don't think it's taken a step back. I think it's maybe kind of going back to the beginning and saying, this was
Picking up
what,
where the ball was dropped is
This-
what I think.
this was
Well,
what
what happened here, we've got this in the 70s, we've got the nice drawing and everything in the 90s.
Right.
So about every 20 years, something's
Somebody's
picked up
doing
and somebody
something.
discovers
Right.
it again,
Right.
which
So-
is sad.
So anyway, so I've got this in a Word document. If anybody wants something
I do.
digestible, I can provide that. And then I actually even in the Word document kind of cropped these out and put them in it. The scan didn't come through really well. It was, what's really interesting to me when you get in and you start looking really close, and I can leave this out, is where some of the streets used to be that don't exist now. And then they actually showed something down here. What does it say? Proposed collector.
Aha.
And they showed, I can't remember this road. It's not Holman. Riverview. Riverview connecting to the railroad back here and coming in that way.
Mhm.
And then over here in town, going through, like at Moore Street and Second Street, which isn't Second now, I can't remember what it is, showing connect over to where the factory used to be. Because there was there's a whole thing in here about the traffic congestion at Whitaker Bank and
Right.
Valero, because when the factory used to let out, that was insane. That's why they put that light
Exactly.
there. I remember that.
Mhm.
And so in this, they talk about making a connection through back over to College Avenue to alleviate that. And I guess at the time, Elkins Street didn't come around. And maybe that's what they ended up doing, was building Elkins around instead of building it through like they're showing on here. But anyway, it was fascinating to see all that.
Mhm.
So I'm glad I found it. I'm kind of surprised nobody has ever.
But that seems to be an untenable habit. People do really good work and then it's put in a back corner and it
Yeah.
disappears, nobody knows about it.
in the back room. So
Yeah.
what I've got, let's see,
Is the yellow the city limits line on this? No.
No, there's a black line for that, and the
Okay.
yellow is just, I think, showing like substantial.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So this is just stuff I cut and pasted from the text document. Just some interesting stuff, and I was talking with Mitchell about it in the beginning. The very last thing on the second page, it says, there's a definite need for an individual who can constantly oversee the implementation of local plans.
Yep.
And there's also a thing that
I
says,
think that's you.
Yeah.
If they give you time to do it.
information needed to guide decision makers must be constantly gathered by a full-time building inspector and zoning enforcement administrator.
Absolutely.
So believe me, I'm gonna take this to the city council the next time we talk about building inspection and say 1976, they said full-time building inspector.
Mhm. Right. And we still need it.
We have never had it. So,
Well, I need to know the next time that comes up because I'm going to give a good storyline why we need one.
okay. Second
It's 14th.
Thursday, second, what's that?
I think it's the 14th.
14th of January,
Don't
second
quote me.
Thursday of the month.
Don't set that in stone.
I'll,
Second
You
Thursday.
said council meeting?
yeah.
Yeah,
second
that's the
Thursday.
city council, it's always the second Thursday.
Yeah. So, I
I'm gonna have to start coming to some of these things.
provided that
Oh, it's interesting.
for
Yes,
you all,
it
but
is.
there's a lot of good stuff in here, and I really do want to use some of the stuff from that plan. It's good language, it's stuff that's still relevant, it's stuff that never stopped being relevant, that just didn't get addressed. There's a thing about central business district that I
Yeah, I
think
think
is,
it's good. So, I think it's gonna be real hard for us to have a central business district.
well, I have a plan for
The
that.
way it's
The way,
spread out.
so the way everything is spread out right now, it's like it was willy-nilly put into.
Yes, that's exactly what this says. It
Exactly.
says, commercial development in Stanton is scattered in areas throughout town. Stanton is unique.
Ridiculous.
Stanton is unique in that most communities its size have relatively centralized central business districts that are located in the approximate center of town. This lack of a generalized CBD has perhaps set the tone for disorderly development throughout
Isn't
Stanton.
that the truth?
And anything that they have, like our old courthouse, I've seen
Gone.
pictures,
I
it's
know, they're
gone.
beautiful.
They
They tore it down
absolutely
and
tear
built.
down the old beautiful things
Yeah.
that you can't base
The 11.
anything
That,
around.
that give it a little character.
That said, scattered commercial development is not encouraged to continue throughout the coming years.
Well, that did
Yeah,
happen.
but it still happens.
Now, what about the strip?
If you
building?
look
It
at our
talks about-
downtown,
Yeah,
Too.
you have a church next to a business.
Yeah.
Who would, like, why would you do that?
Well, just look at, right, the down this college in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
A gas station, a house, a church,
So-
another house,
Yeah.
hardware store. You know, it's just ridiculous.
Right.
And you put a cemetery in the middle of downtown.
Yeah, that was,
Which
why?
that goes back far enough. I mean,
That was, how, that cemetery's been there.
1800s, isn't it?
Something,
Yeah.
I think.
Cemetery's hard to say it should or
Yeah.
shouldn't be there, because they just end up where they are.
Mhm.
And then you have to work around it. It's unfortunate that it's right in the middle of town and it creates this huge gap,
Mhm.
which again, I kind of have a plan for that.
Okay.
So anyway, so I've got all this. Feel free to, we can work this in as we go. So I tried to work on some draft goals and objectives. These don't necessarily have everything from the existing, but I can work that stuff into. This is stuff that was kind of standalone that I started working on. Just because it was so much easier to start making a list off the top of my head from the notes and stuff we talked about, as opposed to trying to work it into the existing goals and objectives. But then even after going through this stuff today, I kind of incorporated some stuff.
Is some of this incorporated in this?
I've tried to take some of the stuff on that first
Okay,
sheet and
good.
put it into the
Yeah.
goals and objectives
Good.
today. I was doing that after work, between the end of the day and our meeting. Like,
In between
if-
death
if-
threats.
Yeah, if you look under the economic development,
Surely
that first
not.
goal, it's the third objective down, it says discourage scattered commercial development throughout the city. I took that straight from the 76 plan. Because I thought that was good language, discourage scattered commercial development. I mean, how much simpler can it be?
Right.
But Chris, that now, and I'm not gonna make it, I don't wanna make anybody mad, but it's just like the library that's being built,
Right.
okay?
Out
You
on
know
the-
what?
right.
And it's
Where's
up
it being
there
built?
where an old house is gonna be. And
Out past Wells
how
Mill.
many people actually knew about that library being built? I had no idea. I have talked to people.
I heard it was
all
being built,
over.
I never knew where it was
Yeah,
being
it's
built.
out.
And,
just past-
and you know what,
Right.
there's a lot of mixed
Where is it?
emotions
Land
about
sheet,
that
I'm
library.
sure.
Because, and you know why? Because people don't have the ability to vote on any taxpayer money being spent. Where I came from, even our school on, as I was a board member, local board member, you voted on your O&M budget every single year. If you were
I
gonna
don't
build
think that-
anything,
I think the library, they don't have any money to build the library.
then where's the money coming from?
Grants.
Grant.
Grants.
Where's the library being built?
They bought the property that's right out, it's across the street from the high school.
Just past Wells.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, just, okay.
But who made the determination on where it was gonna be? The library board, and did the library board get with the city council, the planning commission of,
Talk to any of us.
of where
And, you know, the
anybody would
library
be able to
should
put
be
something
somewhere
together?
that people can't walk.
Nope.
Exactly, and is
Can't
that
walk
why?
around. Yeah, I know it's closer
So
to,
here it is,
I know it's
going
getting
the
closer to
same
schools
thing.
because they're building.
So what?
But other people go to the library other than students.
Exactly,
Actually, students have their own library.
Yeah, there's a library in the school.
they do.
But I think for, one of the reasons was they need a certain amount of land, or
Right.
where is that gonna be?
Right.
And
In
I
town,
believe
yeah.
that the owner of that property made them, it was a sweetheart deal.
But
I understand
But
it's a sweetheart
again,
deal,
it
but they
was,
should
it
have
was
worked
kind of
with.
made under the table. It wasn't,
Should've worked
it
with-
It
wasn't.
should have worked with the city,
everybody.
it should have worked with Chris
Well, that,
to make sure it's
I
gonna
don't
be.
consider it being done under the table. I mean, you could go to any library board meeting and.
Nobody
hear
does.
about it.
How many people can go to every meeting going? I've never seen so many committees for a
Oh, I
city
know.
this
We got any
size
for this
in my
board, we got
whole
But
life.
the first
Yeah.
meeting that I went to, that was a public meeting about this whole thing, the library, was in 2019. I mean, that was a while ago.
We got a new elementary
And
school
the
going
other
up.
problem is, there's no way to, again, this comes back to my major beef, to communicate these things to the community.
And
you know?
because nobody reports any action to anybody.
Right.
And everything should be reported up to the city council and mayor, so everybody knows what's going on. We've got a bunch of fiefdoms around here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, the problem is you have too many chiefs
I'm sorry.
around up in
Thank
these,
you,
is what it comes down to.
thank you.
Is this board thinks they can do what they want and they're gonna do it.
And
You got
that's
this board that
exactly
thinks they're gonna
it.
do what they want and they're gonna do it. And this is why we have a downtown area that really is not a downtown
It
business
is
area.
not, it is not. And
Okay.
that's,
So-
I'm
So,
sorry.
no, you're fine. You're fine. It's good.
Well,
good
well,
discussion.
the thing about it is, that's why people are a little angry. They think they voted for the having alcohol in this county, because they were gonna see good things happening with the infrastructure of this city. And where is it? Nada.
Yeah, where is all
Nothing.
that, where does all that money go?
Nada. And
So-
that's what's thrown back in my
Where does all that
face
money
every
go?
single
You
time.
know?
So,
I mean, it's police cars, that's all I've ever heard.
That's
Police
exactly
cars.
what I'm told every single time.
So our,
And they probably need them, but you know.
our struggle is to come up with a document that, that does its best to fix those problems in the little bit of latitude that we have to do that.
Yeah, but see, you can have a document that's gonna fix all these problems, but unless you have backing from
I know,
city
I
council,
get it.
Thank you.
and you have backing from
But-
other people,
but-
Yes.
it's never gonna stick.
But what I'm hoping, and honestly,
You're putting lipstick on a hog.
honestly, what my intent is when we get this done, for one, I want it to be something that they're gonna be like, what? How in the world are you saying, why are you saying this? Because I wanna have the discussion. I want, but I don't want it to be where they're just gonna say, nope, can't approve this. But I want it to be not just the same thing readopted.
Right,
I want it to be
exactly.
something where
Which
they're
is
gonna
what
look at it and go, I don't
Exactly.
think we're gonna do this. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, you have to approve it. And-
Well, then,
So-
also, seems to me like it would be a good idea if when we have a Board of Adjustment meeting and we have planning and zoning meetings, that these goals are top of mind awareness for everyone. And when a decision needs to be made, one of the things to consider is this in line with our goals?
Right. So when I do a staff report for a variance or a zone change or whatever, the first thing I should look at is the comprehensive plan, the goals and objectives.
Exactly.
And when I make my recommendation to approve or deny based on the comprehensive plan, because like when it's a zone change, my staff report says, I approve this because the comprehensive plan and the future land use map support this change, or I recommend denial because they don't support this change. Now, the board makes the decision. I'm the staff that looks at this, gives them, hey, our economic development goal says this, and if we approve this change, it doesn't support our goal. As a good staff member, that's what I should be doing. So
Yes.
here's the problem. Whoever comes after me has to be that same kind of person
Right.
that understands that. We haven't had that to this point,
Right.
as far as I'm aware. And I'm not saying everybody that was in this position didn't do that. I feel like there were at least two or three that did a really good job. I think there's a whole, it's so discontinuous. There's so much chaos. But if we have a good document that whoever comes after me can pick that document up and it's clear and it's obvious what that should be. If you're looking at a zone change, you're looking at the map and it's clear that somebody's wanting to rezone to commercial, but it's in an area that really should be residential or whatever, vice versa. That, hopefully by the time I'm gone, I can have an SOP for that. So when you get a zone change, here's your steps. First, look at the comprehensive plan, then look at the future land use map, and this is how you make your recommendation. I'm still working on getting all that done, but I need this.
Yeah.
And then I need a good zoning ordinance, and then I need good subdivision regulations, so that I can have that. Basically, it's a math problem. For me, it's not an opinion. This is the opinion part. What we're doing now is we're saying, these are the things that are important, these are the problems we see, these are the potential solutions that we see. We put that, we codify it, and then at that point, the day-to-day is filling out the algebra problem. X plus Y equals Z. And I'm not good at that, but it works for me. If I've got a document that I can follow step by step, check the boxes, then it's easy for me to hand it off to you all as the Board of Adjustment or the Planning Commission and say, I make a recommendation this way or this way based on all this work we've done.
When we
Yeah.
come up with what we think is, the comprehensive plan, then is that approved by the
So-
council, city council and mayor?
So the way we
Planning
should, the way we
commission
should do
first.
this, yeah.
We
When
go,
we get a,
we go to the planning commission, then the planning commission should go to the city council.
we'll get a
correct?
draft that we're happy with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then we'll recommend to the planning commission, here's our draft, this is all the work we've done. They'll vote on it, and then they would recommend approval or denial
Okay.
to, well, they wouldn't
So,
recommend
hopefully-
denial, they'd take it back to us and say, work on this.
Okay,
Yeah.
so hopefully, we
But
will
this-
get to the point where the mayor and the city council will say, yeah, I'm on, we're doing this. And then I think it's all of our responsibility to hold.
Well, that'll open
to
it up
hold
to
their feet
everybody
to the
at that
fire.
point.
I mean, when they're making decisions,
And
is
so-
it
So
following these
so
things?
then the way it really should work, is when we sit down around the variance case to discuss it.
Right.
And then-
Everybody should have a copy of the comprehensive plan. Everybody should have a copy of at least the zoning ordinance. And when I send you the case the week before, then you can sit down at home with your comprehensive plan and your zoning ordinance and review the case and compare it to what is there. That's how it should be working. And I apologize, I
Have your argument ready.
should have all the documents for you.
But that's just it, Chris. You, like other people that are trying to get things sorted out and straightened out, so you're into a workable situation, you guys are running in so many different directions that you can't get everything done, and that's what the problem is.
That's what Brett's. Oh, so let me,
I mean, I'd be
real
coming
quick.
down here about every other day.
The
with
first
them,
sheet,
what's going on here, what's
I
going on
just
there. but,
pulled out some
yeah,
stuff.
that's
Exactly.
too.
What's that? Yeah, that's fine. That's just some stuff I pulled out of here that I thought was really interesting. And then the second two are the goals and objectives, the draft I've got so far.
But talking to citizens, you know, people around the community wants change. They're tired
Yes,
of the same
absolutely.
thing going on for year after year after year. The same people doing the same things that have got us in worse
Yes.
problems.
Yes.
I mean, how many pieces of property in this city doesn't have a proper survey? So it can't be sold, it can't be whatever, or whoever takes it on last has to pay for all the people that didn't do it before, and they are never penalized. The people that didn't do their work the first time around, they get away with it, and the person that ends up with the end of it and actually wants a survey, then you get stuck with all of their costs, and that's not right.
So there's one builder, a young guy in town, that has been building things and subdividing property. And I'm trying to catch him to say, before you buy another property and subdivide it, you need to talk to me.
Yes,
You need to what?
Talk to me.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
not me individually, but
Yeah.
the city.
yes.
Because
Tell us your plans.
I've seen two or three that I think he's kind of made some issues with because they may not meet the lot size for the zone district. They, you know, and
Yeah,
So how can so he can do that because we don't have a building?
well, it
What
happened
happens? How
before.
can somebody
It
do
happened
that?
before I was here, and so like I wouldn't let him. If he came into me now to get a permit, I would say, hold on a minute, you had this
Okay.
survey, but you didn't do it the right way. Now you got to go back and you're going to have to spend a little extra money. I'm sorry, but this is how you're going to fix this. So I'm starting to hit certain points where people are coming in to do things, and I'm like, hold on a minute, you got to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that is a slow process. Like you were
Yes,
saying,
it
like
is.
every property in the city doesn't have a survey, and most communities are that way. Most of them, it takes time for those things to happen because a lot of properties are meets and bounds. They're not subdivisions, platted lots. And so as they're split up and all, they need to go through a process, and that hasn't happened. But I'm trying to identify those. So when I'm in the clerk's office, I'm looking up deeds, I'm looking up certain plats and surveys. If I come across things that I recognize, I'll pull it out, take a picture of it with my phone, and I'll attach it in iWork and say, this may not be a proper division of land.
yep,
This may need a minor plat.
yep.
I'm not doing full research. I'm not telling them they have to do all that. I'm just making a note for myself or whoever comes along later. Hey, this could be a problem.
Well,
you need to look at it closer.
And the thing about it is, the people that caused the problem in the first place need to have some skin in the game.
Right. Well, and the answer to that is if somebody comes, the example of your property.
Yes.
So you come into me and say, hey, I want to add on to my house. And I say, well, here's the problem. You have an improper division of land.
Yeah,
And you're fight mad and how, you're mad at me because I'm not saying you are, but,
Yeah, I know.
but that's how it starts. They're mad at me and I'm like, whoa. What you need to do is maybe go back to the person that sold it to you and say,
and that's exactly what I did.
then it becomes a civil matter and you can choose or not choose to take it up with that person. But people don't do that. And I think that's part of my job is to encourage, not to encourage people to sue each other, but to show that accountability so at least people start understanding why they should do things a certain way. And that's what, and the other thing that I try to explain all the time is, and I learned this early on in my career, is that the reason we do it right is so that it doesn't matter if you care, but that person that you sell it to, that they sell it to, their kids, their family, their
stays right.
heirs,
Yep,
that you're not creating problems that somebody inherits down the road that makes it more difficult. Let's
Yes.
just fix it now. Let's do
Yes.
it right the first time. And yeah, there might be problems down the road, but at least we've minimized as much of that as we can. You can't foresee every contingency, but you can do it right, and then at least you're consistent.
And no, and you're right, and for the record, I didn't
Yeah.
get mad at somebody like you. I look back to the people, and you know what? They're so used to doing
Right.
things the wrong way, then they have never been held accountable or responsible.
So, let's see, planning commission is 6:30. We probably don't need very long to do the business for the board of adjustment. So real quick, if you guys don't care, let's go through the goals and objectives. The one that at the top says general goals.
Okay.
Mainly what I'm looking for, this is mostly stuff I've come up with. And like I said, I took some of it out of that I took some of the language out of that seven because I liked it. I was talking before you came in, Kevin. In from the 76 plan, there's stuff like scattered commercial development is not encouraged to continue throughout the coming years. I mean, they said that in 1976.
Isn't that amazing? They were right.
The very first thing,
Yeah.
discourage strict commercial activities along major traffic arteries unless specifically designated. You know, I mean, they recognized in 1976 that strip malls weren't a good
thing.
highest, best use of the land.
Right.
But then
That's all we got.
We still get those because, you know, people didn't look back and say, oh, wait, that's a bad idea.
It's more return on your investment with a strip mall. Having one
It's
business,
cheap, it's cheaper.
it's cheaper than,
Yeah. And hey, you got the old park. So anyway, the first couple under the general goals, we talked about central business district and small town character, stuff you were talking, what you mentioned, Ruth, the pretty stuff.
And it is, and
So,
and it's nice to have all
The
that.
first two are the pretty stuff, the build and retain small town character and preserve historic structures, which that's not necessarily pretty, but that kind of is a little bit.
But unfortunately, they've tore down too many of our nice, pretty buildings. I've seen pictures of nice, pretty buildings that are no longer here.
We don't have much that's historic.
That's right.
But we should at least identify what is, and I think there should be some
Yes.
effort to do that. Now,
Identify what we do have,
Right.
and use those to make some guidelines for new things to come
Right.
in, to replicate, so we get some
I
continuity.
agree. Even on 213 here, the new buildings that are put in, and we've got the old buildings that are there, and then they come in, and what do they put? Buildings that does nothing to match the old ones that are
Right.
still
Right.
there, what is it, 1909, 1905 buildings that
So-
are there on that side of the street?
What I'm gonna propose as part of the comprehensive plan is that we come up with, I think this is in here somewhere.
The architectural,
Architectural standards, but
Yes,
also
improve Appeal City.
some kind of development districts, like neighborhood and commercial districts. So we talked about a central business district. And so I just kind of identified along College Avenue in 213. And that's as far as this is the downtown district. And then I started on North Main
Right.
Street. So
Right.
North Main Street is kind of what we've been talking about.
Right.
And I didn't get very far in it. I've got it mapped, but I didn't do a lot of the text. But what I say in it is, on the west side of North Main, there are vacant spaces that can be developed, and those properties should complement the existing character of this part of town. Similar architectural forms in new construction could help this part of the city become a vibrant mixed-use area.
Yes.
Exactly what you were saying.
Yes.
Make the new things look like the old things.
Yes.
At least in a general sense.
Yes.
They don't have to look exactly like
No.
that.
no, but they should
be
be cohesive.
compatible. Right.
Yeah.
Not a big parking lot way back and some little steel building. you know,
Yes,
like
right,
a
exactly,
temporary
right.
shed.
Exactly.
So, but if in the comprehensive plan, we identify, okay, that part of North Main, say from the cemetery to Church Street. That's kind of what I'm conceptualizing.
Yeah.
Because obviously the cemetery doesn't fit in that. Like it's not going to be.
Right now, wouldn't you say that that's kind of half and half residential and business?
It is. And on the east side, you've got the health department, the church, and then those commercial buildings.
Right.
On the west side, it's basically, there's John Brewer's building, and then
It doesn't look like anything anywhere.
And then a house, a trailer, another house, a vacant lot, and a commercial building. And then a couple,
Yeah.
then like the Joy and Jackie Young's property up here. But the west side has a little bit more potential for redevelopment.
Yeah.
There's some vacant land, and so that, like I said, that can be identified as, hey, if we're gonna develop this, that should be mixed use or commercial, and it should look like this. So then, what we need is a section in the ordinance, either the zoning ordinance or the subdivision regulations, that say the architectural standards in a special district shall conform to this. And then it would say something like, must be built to the street, parking in the rear, encourage,
Yeah.
2 or 3 stories, and then build into the ordinance, the zoning ordinance, the zone district, to allow for mixed use, so you could have commercial and residential. We don't have anything right now that you can do both, really.
Yeah.
So but that all goes, we put it in the comp plan, and then we amend our ordinance to allow for that in the language, and the subdivision regulations to specify how it should be laid out. Now, that's not everywhere in town. That's what I'm saying, like, we're gonna come up with, here's a district boundary.
Right.
Here's a description of that district and why we feel that's that way. And then we can look to this says, okay, in your ordinance, you go to the architectural standards, you go to the subdivision regulations that tell you how to manage this.
I think that's a wonderful plan.
So,
Well, you gotta start
How is this
someplace
plan
because
gonna
we don't
affect
have anything
existing
right now.
businesses like Sue's and the coffee place?
so
I'd say it was a quick problem.
When I was out of town and came home and Sue's was there, and I'm like, what the, how did that happen?
So what happened
I'm on the
was-
Board of Adjustments, I never heard anything about this.
So what happened was, as soon as the liquor bill got passed, he's like, I'm gonna get out of liquor store.
yeah. So
Yeah,
basically,
exactly.
we're kind of stuck with what we have
Money, money, money.
until they go to change it. Even now, as it is, it's been permitted, the stuff's there. I can't go in and say you can't have it.
Right.
Right.
But if they come in to build something else, and we have tight regulations, I can say you can't do that.
Right.
You can't put up a temporary storage building as a permanent commercial building. We need some language that says that. That way I've got some validity,
Yes,
legal, the legal ability to say no, you
yeah,
can't.
exactly.
Our
Because
regulations don't allow
I
it.
thought the city council was gonna work on that. Is that back on us now?
What's that?
On not allowing those storage buildings to be stores?
I've not heard. But really, we can.
I've heard it talked about.
We have
at
the
different
ability.
We have the ability to put it in the comprehensive plan
Yeah.
going forward.
And the zoning ordinance, yeah.
Because I get it, you wanna bring business here, but
We,
that property right there can,
we need a
Develop.
higher standard. Because if your standards are that low, that you're gonna put a storage building up and that's gonna be your
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
right,
You're not putting a lot of thought and energy and effort into it. And people know that. When you come into town, people see those kind of things and they go,
Well, the price of land should dictate what someone with a half a brain would put up there.
So,
well, and you.
You know, we're talking about where the empty lot, where it used to be Woody's Brewer's gas station. Across
there was a
from the
gas,
bank,
yeah.
where the
there was a
coffee
gas-
place is. Wasn't that where Woody Brewer's gas station was,
I
or
don't
was
know who it
that
was.
further down?
No, there was a gas station on
There was a
corner.
gas station there, yeah.
Yeah. That's
So-
why it sat empty for a long time, I
Yeah.
think, because the
Now that
town.
land's for sale,
No.
No.
so those people are leasing,
He
they
did have,
could put
he
them
did have a
business
sign for a long time that it was for sale.
for sale.
he's leasing the land, George is leasing the land, small
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's leasing the land of both those businesses, all three of the businesses actually.
Well, they're surveying the Dotson property behind Kroger.
Yes, and they've come in, he wants to create an acre lot in between the Joey's Muffler building and Kroger, like where the RVs are. He's wanting to do a 1 acre lot.
What's more?
So the surveyor actually came in and talked to him
Wouldn't he block out a 1 acre lot to sell,
about it.
or
Create a new lot. No, he's not gonna sell.
to create a new lot?
Yeah.
Did the place where the little barbecue place was going to go, that has a for sale sign there.
Yeah, I
What's
don't know.
happening
Yeah.
with
They
that?
decided not to do that.
Did they go through with the steakhouse now or not?
I don't know where that's at right now. He told the mayor that he was gonna break ground soon. but I don't know. We'll see.
Has he gotten straightened out with your,
No.
he shouldn't break ground.
Well, that's what I told him.
I think the concern should be, and I'm gonna use a case in point, would be my neighbor's house. See, when I bought my house, the property line went right, took off the corner of that lady's house. And boy, she was mad at us, and, you know, there it was, and it was, you know, I had it surveyed, and the survey line went right through her house, so. It did.
So
It's
Tom
on the
just
third of that
showed up
house.
one
This is
day,
Lowe's.
sitting on the couch watching TV.
So I says to her, I says, now look, I go, I'll survey a line, and all I want you to do is pay for the survey, and I'll give you that land. Well, everyone couldn't believe I'm gonna give her the land. Well, she wouldn't do it. So I had to wait till she sold it, and then I had the people, and it was sold through the bank, knowing or not knowing that I owned a third of that house. Now, the people that bought that house, there's a 3 foot.
And that's another.
My property
that's another
line is
problem.
3 feet from the back of that house. So can they resell that house as is? Yes.
Yeah.
But they can't tear it down and build another one in there, correct? Is that the way see, I think we gotta make people clear
You
of
can
that.
sell it, yeah, but it doesn't make it, but then getting permits or rebuilding it, say the house burned down and they came in to me to get a permit to
Exactly.
build it, you gotta fix it. You can't build it not meeting the setbacks, not.
Right.
outside.
So I think somehow we gotta make note of that to people that, you know, there's a lot of
Well,
places in
that-
town.
That goes a lot to real estate
I was
agents.
gonna say that would be
And-
real
And the,
estate.
and the banks.
And the
Yes,
banks.
and the
And-
banks.
and the bank.
And they,
And
banks.
the problem anymore, it's not always the local bank, it's some, you know, big corporate lender that doesn't care one way or the other what happens in town. And so
So
it's hard
goes
to, it's
on
hard to,
our local banks.
So it's not an issue to make people aware that some of these homes they live in, if something happens, they just can't.
The bigger issue is really making sure that the real estate community is aware and is willing to contact and do the research. And because when I worked in Colorado, a lot of my day was spent answering phone calls to realtors who were like, hey, I'm gonna list this property, can you tell me all this stuff about it?
Right.
And a lot of times they already knew the issues, they were asking how to fix it, is there anything else? And now, like, I get those calls, but they're usually not the local realtors, they're usually the people from out of town who are representing somebody, and,
Okay.
which is the payment.
So it's not necessary to-
Except most realtors here don't, never had to deal with it. They just go ahead and sell it, they make their money and they're gone. That's
So,
what
On
happens.
comprehensive plan, can we rezone properties?
You
Or
mean, like,
recommendations of rezoning
are
properties?
you talking about like, look at a property,
Like,
zone it
so,
out, decide?
well, like it's vacant, it's vacant.
Oh, vacant.
Yeah.
Typically, you can't just rezone someone else's property.
No, I'm talking about vacant property.
Well, somebody still
But
owns it.
I
somebody
don't
still
care who
owns
owns
it.
it.
The city can.
Well, because
initiate
it
a
makes,
rezoning,
it
but
makes
there-
no sense to
there-
have businesses on one side
There
and
is a
house on the other.
process.
Exactly.
There
You're
is a
right.
process you have to notify. It's the same process as it would be for someone if they requested a zone change. So the city could initiate a zone change, but it has to go through all the processes, statutory.
So like the property that's vacant because the house burnt to the ground across from Ace Hardware,
Yeah,
who owns that?
I believe it's Darrell Billings, and it is zone commercial.
It is not commercial.
It is zone commercial.
It is the one across the street from Ace Hardware.
Yeah, yeah, that whole strip there is zone commercial.
Even the property across the street?
And all those houses in there, huh? It's all
Well,
commercial?
Yeah, actually the Nancy Birch's, the one next to it, that one that burned, and then that field, I don't know if the next house down is, it may be
And
residential.
that church down
I think the church is residential.
there? Okay.
But that next house, like where Elkins comes out, might be res, I don't remember exactly where the line is there.
Yeah.
The commercial goes so far and then it goes back to residential until you get down to the storage units.
Okay.
So, but yeah, there's definitely some commercial in there. See, and that was the thing, the Grosses who own Billings came in because their property had been zoned commercial and they have a residential property, wanted to build a garage. So they had to do a zone change request back to residential or to residential. so that so I can give them a permit for their garage. because-
Okay.
So anyway, we're gonna run out of time, I think. So what I would like for you all to do, anything that, any of the previous information I've given you about goals and objectives and this new, go over that with a fine-tooth comb,
Okay.
make notes, send me notes,
Okay.
call me, text me, whatever, and let's try by.
When you say doing, that's the general goal?
Oh, yeah, that. By next month, let's try to have like a list, like the full list of what our goals and objectives should be. And it doesn't have to be a long list, it can be a short list.
So this draft comprehensive plan is just kind of like
That's more of an example of what I'm talking about
Okay.
with the.
Ultimately, this is what we're gonna end up with, something.
Yeah, I've
like
got
this.
a handful of different areas that I picked, like along Washington Street, around the courthouse, the airport kind of commercial area. If we want to look, and we don't have to do all those, but I thought if we look at these different areas, and maybe we need to do more like a workshop, sit down and discuss it, but
When you had sent the thing to us about the Walmart grant,
yeah.
okay, I looked at that, and at first I thought, well, we can't use any of the, I mean, we're probably running out of time to do any of that either.
Well,
But
it's
then
quarterly.
because,
It's every quarter.
okay, because
Yeah,
it's specifically for lower income, to help lower income people.
We can qualify.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that's what he told us. Our whole county will qualify.
Clay City just got a big thing from the state.
Yeah.
Where's Stanton? But did we,
Oh,
did we even
that's
apply
for
for anything?
that was for the
Yeah,
the business and,
yes.
business park, the
Thank
business
you.
park.
Thank
yeah.
you, yeah.
I think that
Oh,
was
yeah.
that was a goal of
That's through the
Eddie's.
state.
Eddie worked really hard
I
on
don't know
that
where
one.
they got that money from.
What was the
Yeah, from the
business
state.
park, where near the?
I don't know where it is.
I don't know
It's
either.
out by the Clay City exit on the other side, like
Oh.
down past Jimmy's.
Oh, the industrial park.
Yes, they got a huge chunk of money, huge.
Yeah,
What are
they
they
did.
gonna do?
I don't know.
Well, they need to
either.
develop it, like roads and
Yeah.
water and sewer and all that. They don't have any of that in there. That's been the problem all along with them.
That's why no one's interested.
Right. They can't
Right.
do anything with it because it's just
And it's cut by a small ravine,
yeah,
which completely
drainage.
drainage and everything. So it would have to be filled in, drainage tiled or
Okay,
whatever.
real quick, we need to. Any final thoughts on update committee?
We
You
got
have to
homework.
sign an attendance.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
I second it.
She's gonna make it and second it.